Hey class, welcome to chapter 14. We're going to be talking about hematologic products. These are drugs that will keep us from clotting and protect us in the event of heart attacks, strokes, and other conditions where we could end up with thrombi or emboli. You can read in your textbook pages 265 to 278. So you see that it's not a terribly long chapter. ATI chapters 22 and 23. And I will assign things to do along with this chapter as we go along. In this chapter, we will be talking about anticoagulants and what we should teach our patients if they're going to be on anticoagulants for a long time. Also, adverse and side reactions that we can expect. This is a graphic of the clotting factors and the different pathways that make up what we call the clotting cascade. We're not going to have to know this section by section. This is just a picture of how absolutely complicated that whole clotting cascade is. You have to have one factor that leads to another factor with enzyme action in between, and ultimately what this does is that if there's an injury, it allows us to make a clot. If it's outside the body, that's what keeps us from constantly oozing from just a little cut. But if it's inside the body, it's a little bit more complicated. So ultimately what we end up with is anytime there's any tissue damage, the body uses prothrombin to create thrombin. It activates several clotting factors and enzymes, and you end up with fibrinogen, which goes to fibrin, and eventually a fibrin clot is created, and this allows us to make a scab that prevents us from bleeding too much. At this point, I'm going to stop the video and ask you to watch one of my favorite YouTube videos, which is called This Is Why We Clot, and I will then resume it talking about the different kinds of medications that we will be covering in this chapter.